From the depths of the ocean to the vast reaches of space, and even some quirky corners of everyday life, these incredible truths are guaranteed to make you question everything you thought you knew. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be amazed, because truth really is stranger than fiction.
The ancient Romans had some unusual hygiene practices, and one of the most surprising was their use of urine as a mouthwash. While it may sound disgusting today, the practice actually had a scientific basis. Urine contains ammonia, a natural cleaning agent that can help remove stains and kill bacteria. Romans believed that rinsing their mouths with urine would help whiten their teeth and maintain oral hygiene. Urine was widely used in Roman society for cleaning purposes, not just for oral care. It was collected in pots placed on street corners and later used for laundry, tanning leather, and even bleaching fabric. The ammonia in aged urine was effective at breaking down dirt and grease, making it a valuable cleaning agent. In fact, urine was so important that the Roman Emperor Vespasian even imposed a urine tax, known as vectigal urinae, on those who collected and sold it for commercial use. Though Romans primarily used their own urine, they also imported urine from other regions, believing that urine from specific places was stronger or more effective for whitening teeth. Some sources suggest that the practice of using urine as a mouth rinse continued in some parts of Europe well into the Middle Ages. While the idea of rinsing with urine might seem revolting today, it demonstrates the Romans' resourcefulness and their ability to make use of natural substances for practical purposes. Thankfully, modern toothpaste and mouthwash have replaced this ancient method, but the cleaning power of ammonia is still used today in many household cleaning products.
The story of the first fire hydrant patent being lost in a fire is an ironic and widely repeated tale, though the details remain somewhat mysterious. Fire hydrants are essential firefighting tools designed to provide a ready supply of water in emergencies. However, the original patent for this crucial invention is believed to have been destroyed in a fire at the US Patent Office in 1836. The first known fire hydrant system dates back to the early 19th century. While various forms of underground water pipes with access points existed before, the credited inventor of the modern fire hydrant is Frederick Graf Sr., a Philadelphia-based engineer who supposedly designed an improved version around 1801. However, because the patent records were lost in the fire, there is no official documentation confirming Graf as the patent holder. The Great Fire of December 15, 1836, at the US Patent Office in Washington, D.C., was a devastating event that destroyed thousands of patents, including what was believed to be the original fire hydrant patent. At that time, patents were not backed up or recorded elsewhere, so any lost documents were gone forever. As a result, there is no official record of who first patented the modern fire hydrant. Despite the loss, fire hydrants continued to evolve and spread throughout cities, becoming a critical part of urban infrastructure. Later designs improved water pressure, accessibility and durability, ensuring that fire departments had a reliable source of water to combat blazes. While the story of the lost patent remains a fascinating historical irony, the fire hydrant itself has endured as one of the most essential firefighting tools, helping to save countless lives and properties over the centuries.
The Vikings were known for their seafaring skills, but they were also expert travelers on land, especially in the snowy mountainous regions of Scandinavia. One of the most fascinating aspects of their transportation methods is that they used bones as skis over 4,000 years ago. While modern skiing is associated with sleek wooden or fiberglass equipment, early Nordic people, including the Vikings, crafted primitive skis from animal bones to glide over the snow with ease. Skiing itself dates back at least 8,000 years, with evidence of ancient ski-like carvings found in Russia, China, and Scandinavia. However, it was the Norse people who refined skiing into both a practical mode of transport and a military skill. The Vikings, in particular, are believed to have used skis made from animal bones, such as horse or reindeer leg bones, which were strapped to their feet to help them move quickly over ice and snow. These bone skis were especially useful for hunting, traveling between villages and navigating the harsh Nordic winters. Archaeologists have uncovered ancient skis, some dating back over 6,000 years, made from wood and lined with animal fat or fur to improve glide. But even before the widespread use of wooden skis, bone skates and skis were common, as they were both durable and readily available. By the time the Vikings became dominant in the 8th to 11th centuries, skiing had become an important skill for survival and even warfare. In fact, Norse mythology even includes Ulla, the god of skiing, who was believed to be a great hunter and warrior. Over time, the Vikings transitioned to using wooden skis, but their early reliance on bone skis highlights their resourcefulness and ability to adapt to their environment. Today, skiing is a major winter sport, but its origins can be traced back to these early innovations by ancient Norse civilizations.
The Statue of Liberty, one of the most iconic symbols of freedom and democracy in the United States, was originally intended for Egypt, not the United States. The French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi, who designed Lady Liberty, first envisioned a similar statue to stand at the entrance of Egypt's Suez Canal in the mid-19th century. In the 1860s, Egypt's ruler, Khedive Ismail Pasha, sought to modernize the country and had commissioned grand projects, including the Suez Canal, which officially opened in 1869. Bartholdi proposed a massive statue called Egypt Bringing Light to Asia, a robed woman holding a torch, intended to symbolize progress and enlightenment. The design strongly resembled what would later become the Statue of Liberty. However, Egypt ultimately rejected the idea due to the project's high cost. After the failure of his Egyptian project, Bartholdi turned to the United States, where he found support for a similar statue. He adjusted his original design, transforming it into Liberty Enlightening the World. With the help of Gustave Eiffel, who designed the internal iron framework, and funding from both France and American donations, the Statue of Liberty was completed and officially dedicated in 1886 in New York Harbor. Though it never stood in Egypt, Bartholdi's original vision played a crucial role in shaping one of the world's most famous monuments. Today, the Statue of Liberty remains a powerful symbol of freedom and opportunity, welcoming millions of visitors and immigrants to the United States.
It is true that George Washington grew hemp on his farm at Mount Vernon, but this was not the marijuana commonly associated with recreational or medicinal use today. In the 18th century, hemp was an essential crop in the American colonies, valued for its strong fibers used in making rope, sails, clothing and paper. Like many farmers of his time, Washington cultivated hemp for its industrial uses rather than for smoking or medicinal purposes. Records from Mount Vernon show that Washington grew hemp as early as the 1760s. He frequently wrote about experimenting with different seed varieties and improving cultivation methods. In his diary entries, Washington mentioned separating male and female plants, which some speculate could indicate an interest in maximizing resin production. However, there is no direct evidence that Washington or his contemporaries used hemp for recreational or psychoactive purposes. At the time, hemp was a highly encouraged crop in the colonies. The British government even required some American farmers to grow it because of its importance in producing naval supplies like ropes and sails. Hemp was such a valuable resource that it was even considered a form of currency in Virginia during Washington's time. Though hemp and marijuana come from the same plant species, cannabis sativa, the industrial hemp that Washington grew, contained very low levels of THC, the psychoactive compound in marijuana. It wasn't until the 20th century that hemp cultivation was banned in the United States due to its association with marijuana. Today, hemp is once again legally grown for industrial and medicinal purposes. So, while George Washington did grow hemp, the idea that he was a marijuana enthusiast is a misconception. His focus was on its practical agricultural uses, not personal consumption.
The first recorded speeding ticket in history was issued in 1902 to a man driving at a shocking speed of 12 miles per hour. While that may seem incredibly slow by today's standards, at the time, early automobiles were a new and often feared technology, and speed limits were much lower than they are today. The driver in question was a British man named Walter Arnold, who was caught speeding in Paddock Wood, Kent, England. At the time, the legal speed limit for motor vehicles was 2 miles per hour in towns and 4 miles per hour in rural areas. Not only was Arnold driving at 6 times the speed limit, but he was also breaking another law, failing to have a person walking in front of his vehicle waving a red flag, a requirement under the Locomotive Act of 1865, also known as the Red Flag Act. A local constable, realizing Arnold's reckless speed, chased him down on a bicycle. The officer caught up with him, stopped the vehicle and issued the very first speeding fine. Arnold was fined 1 shilling for his offence. This moment marked the beginning of what would become a common part of driving history, traffic laws and enforcement. As cars became more powerful and roads became busier, governments around the world introduced stricter speed limits, fines and safety regulations. Today, while speeds of 12 miles per hour are considered laughably slow for modern vehicles, this first speeding ticket was a major milestone in the evolution of traffic laws and road safety.
Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States, had a deep love for birds, particularly mockingbirds. Among his many pets, one of his most famous was a mockingbird named Dick, which he kept in the White House during his presidency. This was significant because Jefferson was one of the first US presidents to keep a pet in the White House. Jefferson's fascination with mockingbirds was well documented. He is said to have owned several mockingbirds throughout his life, but Dick was reportedly his favorite. Jefferson admired the bird's ability to mimic sounds and melodies, and he often let Dick fly freely around the White House, rather than keeping him caged all the time. The bird would perch on Jefferson's shoulder while he worked, sing from the windowsills, and even respond to Jefferson's whistles and tunes. Jefferson's love for mockingbirds went beyond just keeping them as pets. He was an early advocate for their protection, writing about their intelligence and musical abilities. He even collected and recorded their songs, fascinated by their mimicry of other birds and sounds. In letters, Jefferson mentioned how he would play the violin while Dick would sing along, making their relationship even more unique. Jefferson's interest in mockingbirds reflects his broader love of nature, music, and science. He believed in studying and appreciating the natural world, and his affection for these birds was just one example of his intellectual curiosity. Today, the northern mockingbird is the state bird of 5 US states, and its legacy in American history is partly tied to Jefferson's admiration.
In ancient Greece, throwing an apple at someone was not just a playful act, it was actually a symbolic marriage proposal. This tradition stemmed from Greek mythology and cultural customs, where apples were associated with love, beauty, and fertility. The practice was linked to the story of the golden apple of discord, which played a key role in the events leading to the Trojan War. According to legend, the goddess Eris threw a golden apple, inscribed with for the fairest among the goddesses Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, sparking a rivalry that ultimately led to the famous war. Because of this, apples became symbols of desire and romantic pursuit. In ancient Greek society, if a man threw an apple at a woman, it meant he was proposing marriage or expressing his love and desire for her. If the woman caught the apple, it was considered an acceptance of the proposal. This was not just a casual gesture, but a serious cultural tradition that carried significant meaning. Apples also appeared in Greek literature and poetry as symbols of affection and devotion. For example, the poet Theocritus referenced apples in romantic contexts, reinforcing their association with love. Additionally, the Greeks believed that eating an apple together was a sign of bonding and commitment between lovers. While the tradition of proposing with an apple has long faded, the symbolism of apples in romance and mythology still lingers today. The phrase "the apple of my eye" is one modern example that continues to reflect the deep historical connection between apples and love.
Queen Elizabeth I, one of the most famous monarchs in British history, had a gingerbread mould shaped like her own likeness. And this curious item is a fascinating reflection of her reign and the culture of the time. In the late 16th century, gingerbread was a popular treat in England, often associated with festive occasions, celebrations, and even political messages. The use of gingerbread molds to shape cookies or cakes into various forms was a common practice, and the molds were often designed to impress guests or convey messages of power, status, or affection. Elizabeth's gingerbread mold was likely a symbol of her authority and iconic status. As a powerful queen who reigned over a golden age of exploration, culture, and influence, Elizabeth was often depicted in various forms of art and symbolism, and this gingerbread mold would have served as another way to immortalize her image. So, the mold itself, thought to be crafted in the Elizabethan style, would have been used to create gingerbread cookies or cakes that were shaped like her face or royal portrait. During Elizabeth's time, gingerbread was not only enjoyed as a sweet treat, but also as a form of social currency. Gingerbread cookies were often presented to guests at court, given as gifts, and sometimes even used to convey political messages or alliances. The fact that a gingerbread mold was created in the Queen's likeness speaks to the high esteem in which she was held and the importance of royal symbolism in everyday life. Elizabeth, who was keenly aware of her public image, would have appreciated this gesture as a way to project her image of power and majesty to her subjects. Gingerbread molds shaped like prominent figures such as monarchs or important individuals were not uncommon. However, Elizabeth's mold stands out because it combined royal imagery with the playful nature of food. In addition to this gingerbread mold, Elizabeth I was known for her lavish courtly celebrations and indulgence in extravagant feasts. Gingerbread, along with other sweet treats, was often part of the elaborate banquets and festivities that marked important occasions during her reign. This mold is now a quirky historical artifact that gives us a glimpse into the cultural and social practices of Elizabethan England, while also underscoring Elizabeth's position as a celebrated and almost mythic figure in her time.
Science. Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of the United States and a polymath known for his numerous inventions and contributions to science, invented swim fins for his hands in the 18th century. His invention was part of his lifelong fascination with improving daily life through practical tools and innovations. Franklin, who was an avid swimmer himself, came up with the idea for hand fins as a way to enhance a swimmer's ability to navigate the water more effectively. The idea of using swim fins or flippers to aid in swimming was not entirely new, but Franklin's version was unique in that it was designed to be worn on the hands rather than the feet. His hand fins were essentially flat, stiff paddles made from wood or leather, with straps to secure them to the hands. These paddles allowed swimmers to push more water with each stroke, increasing speed and efficiency, somewhat like the fins used by modern divers today. While Franklin's design was quite rudimentary compared to modern swim fins, it showed his inventive spirit and his commitment to using science and creativity to solve everyday challenges. Franklin's interest in swimming was well documented throughout his life. He learned to swim as a child and continued to swim well into his later years, even using swimming as a form of exercise. His hand fins were just one of many innovations that he created for the purposes of improving human capability in different areas. Franklin, who also invented the lightning rod, bifocals and the Franklin stove, was constantly exploring new ideas and tools that could make life easier and more efficient. Though Franklin's hand fins didn't revolutionize the swimming world as some of his other inventions did, they were an early example of biomechanical innovation in water sports. They highlight Franklin's ability to think beyond the conventional, applying his scientific curiosity to all aspects of life. His hand fins were never widely adopted, but they remain an interesting footnote in the long history of swimming technology. Today, swim fins are typically worn on the feet, and they have evolved significantly from Franklin's wooden hand paddles, but his early contribution to the development of aquatic equipment is still noteworthy.
Thank you for watching. We hope these mind-blowing facts left you amazed and inspired. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell because there's plenty more where that came from. Stay curious and we'll see you in the next one.